Greetings people, this is Vaulander again, bring you another Bugmeister replay by CynicalDoc. This time it's on two rivers and he's facing Anklier, which is a orc player, and if you pause the game at 1 minute mark 1x speed we can get the show on the road. As I explained in the first audio that I did about the Bugmeister, it relies on the Cryptlord with Scarabs, a couple of ghouls to hold the line, and then go for the regular Fiend and statue strat. You can vary this as you need depending on the enemy you face, and we shall see how CynicalDoc deals with this orc player here. Anyway, we are at the 1 minute mark 1x speed, and we'll unpause at 3, 2, 1, unpause. In CynicalDoc space, he is going for the Crypt, Cigarette and Altar. While in the Orc base, we have the regular build is Altar of Storms, Orc Burrow and Barracks. However, his base setup here is pretty open, and you will see as the game progresses how he basically invites CynicalDoc into his base here. He has a second burrow up and running here, and they're both right out in the open with no protection whatsoever. CynicalDoc sends his first ghoul up to scout, getting more ghouls from the crypt to get wood and preparing for the Bugmeister strategy. He also gets a tomb of relics, which he has in the front of his base. I don't know why, but people tend to put their shops in the front so that the enemy can take them down and prevent you from getting potions and other equipment of use. We have a Blademaster out. He's using the Windwalk, and he's going to go down and start beating up on some Acolytes. However, the undead players have dust in their shop, so it is much easier for the undead to counter this strat than it is for orcs, for instance, who don't have dust in shop, and there's not much you can do without a merchant. Here we have the Windwalking Blademaster coming in, and he goes for one of the back Acolytes. And CynicalDoc, having a bunch of ghouls and his Cryptlord, goes to stop this. Acolyte goes down, the Blademaster is now pretty much trapped, and CynicalDoc goes and gets dust. However, one particular thing with the Windwalk is that it makes the Blademaster very tricky, because he can slide through units when he uses it. And so he manages to get out, but CynicalDoc is not taking it, so it's easy for him to get a replacement Acolyte. He now also gets his graveyard in preparation for the Fiends later. He goes and takes out these two easy creeps. Usually wasting your time on these when you have a force like this is pretty pointless, because they give you almost no experience whatsoever and no item drops. But it does provide the Bugmeister with fresh corpses to use to get bugs, since he don't have his graveyard quite up yet. He'll have to find corpses elsewhere. He goes and starts creeping here. One thing about both the Power Push and the Bugmeister, they're pretty much very similar strategies, and CynicalDoc made this Bugmeister thing from a corruption of the Power Push, you might say. Is that the longer you creep, the faster your advantage disappears, because as the enemy players tech up and get more units, your weak front line in the Bugmeister case will lose its efficiency. Especially if you face enemy player who has area of effect spells. You don't want the enemy to get up levels. For instance, a shockwave does only 75 at level 1, but at level 2 it does 130, and if you see on the carrion beetles here, that's pretty much a whole row of them gone in just one spell. Couple that with the other combinations of area of effect spell, you can rip up this weak shield in front very quickly. So you have to move and be aggressive with this strategy as well as the power push. The Blademaster is now level 2. He has a Gloves of Haste drop. He is taking up to tier 2. It's still running from 1 barracks. And CynicalDoc is also taking up, and he's running from 1 crypt. So when it comes unit wise, there's no advantage on either side by dual crypt or dual racks. And as you can see, the force of CynicalDoc here is weaker but more numerous than the orc players, so they're pretty much equal here. The difference is heroes and a Windwalking Blademaster can be a problem, especially at level 2 when he has the critical strike, in which the Blademaster becomes a real contender here. Here you can see the Windwalk. He basically just walks right through the units. He then runs out of timer for the Windwalk and he's spotted. He does another Windwalk and CynicalDoc gets or uses one of his dust of appearance, the last one, and the Blademaster is deciding whether or not to go down and do something, but since CynicalDoc is heading up for his base, he figures that going back to defend is a good idea. Here CynicalDoc makes a bit of a mistake in that he tries to focus on this watchtower instead of focusing on the burrows, which are right here and in the open. If he had just beat up on a few burrows, he could have taken them down real quick with the forces he has. Then he could just have left the tower alone, and the orc player would have to spend resources on getting more burrows. If you look at the orc player, Anklier, he's at 31 out of 40. If you had killed 1 burrow, that means you have to make another burrow before you can make another unit. Which means that his tech would have been slowed down, because even though he has tier 2 and can build whatever buildings he wants, he needs to get the burrows back again. And here, this particular point is where CynicalDoc pretty much slipped up. Even though he lost most of his forces, they are cheap and he can get them right back up again. So if he had focused on the burrows, he would have had the advantage of being able to replenish his forces without a problem, while the orc player would have been slowed down. Here you see the orc player is going for bestiary. He is going to go for Wyverns. CynicalDoc has now Fiends out, and he has his second hero, the DeathKnight, out. He gets more bugs from the graveyard, and is now turning away from the original Bugmeister, in that he's not really replenishing his ghouls, just using what he still has on hand, and he himself is going for the straight Fiend strat with statues here. If CynicalDoc would have gotten, for instance, a Rod of Necromancy, the bugs and the ghouls, and killed a few sheep on the way, as I understand you can raise, you can use the Rod of Necromancy on dead sheep, he could have had a serious force and taken out the burrows very fast, and then done what he could on the peons, for instance. I faced a player on Plunder Owl who did that. He got a Cryptlord, 5 bugs, a bunch of ghouls, and Rod of Necromancy, and then he just ran onto my base. Since he was coming on the left side of Plunder Owl and I was going up on the right side, I didn't meet him on the way, so while I was in his base, he ravaged my burrows, killed my peons, and that was pretty much it. I didn't have time to teleport back. In fact, teleport takes about 5 seconds, and that's all the time you need to destroy burrows and kill peons, especially with a force as big as he had, and it was over in less than 7 minutes. So you might want to think about that if you're playing Undead and doing the Bugmeister strat. The Orc player now has Wyverns up. He goes up to level 4 with his Blademaster. You're going to see a very nice use of Blade Storm later in this game. We have CynicalDoc. He's coming here with 4 ghouls, bugs. Some are level 1, some are level 2, and he also has 3 fiends. He focuses on the Spirit Lodge, leaves the burrows all alone. They're standing there begging for attention, and we now have the tower up. And it's also beating on his units, and he's going to get it pretty hard here. He's running his fiends back home, he's teleporting his other units, and all in all that was a lost battle and a lost opportunity again for CynicalDoc. He does have a Scroll of the Beast from creeping. He has Ring of Protection +2, and coupled with his Spite Carapace is now at 8 armor. And you know, he is a beast even worse than the Tauren Chieftain. He has a 1 mana stealing with one charge left, and he has gauntlets of over strength. On the DeathKnight he has absolutely nothing, but that just means that he can get a lot of good items for him. Empty pockets hold more. Orc player is now running with Grunts, Wyverns. He has also picked up a Headhunter, although I don't really see why at this point. It's not like it's going to make much difference that the Grunts and Wyverns can't deal with. He is now taking up to tier 3. He goes and clears out his red expansion. And he gets a Orb of Darkness, which is very nice. It's not a natural thing for Orc, but you can get it as an item drop. It's basically the undead version of the orbs. Gives you extra attack, ground to air attack, so that the hero can attack air if he's a melee hero, and will raise a skeleton warrior from units you kill. We look at the Orc player, and he's making a wall of burrows on his left side, blocking off 1 tower here. You can see he has dark minions from the orb. And here we have CynicalDoc coming in again. He is now facing skeletons, bloodlusted units from the Ogre Magi resurrection thing you get at the Red Mines. We have Fiends. He does have a snare on them, which is something you should get whenever you have the opportunity, as soon as possible, because if you happen to face air, you already have it, instead of having to run and spend time getting it later, and that might be all the advantage the enemy air needs. We have a Blademaster who is about to go up to level 6 shortly. The Orc forces are down to just Grunts and the resurrected Ogre Magi. Here we have a Blade Storm going off among the Fiends, and that's bad news. Takes down a lot of forces and weakens everything else, and CynicalDoc pretty much gets the shaft in this battle here. We have bugs trying to hold the line. We have 2 heroes, and against that we have the Ogre Magi, we have 2 Grunts, and we have the dark minions from the orb. CynicalDoc, however, has expanded. He has defense for his expansion, 2 towers. The Orc player has not expanded yet. He's pushing the Wyverns more and more Grunts. He's now at tier 3. He's running with just 1 hero, which means that even though you don't have the benefit of additional hero skills, you do get bonus experience for each tier above 1 when you have only 1 hero. For instance, at tier 2 you get 10% extra experience at level, or at tier 3 you get 20%. So the bonus experience added to the fact that he doesn't have to share it with another hero means that the Blademaster has now come up to level 6, while the Cryptlord is at level 4 and the DeathKnight is at level 2. So you might want to think about that if you want to reach ultimate fast and you have a good hero. If you run him solo, you might make it easier for the enemy to focus on it. You don't have space for all the good items you can find, but you will reach experience much faster. Especially since CynicalDoc doesn't really have the undead nuke. He does have bugs, the armor, and the death coil on the DeathKnight, but he does not have a real good nuke combination like death coil and Nova, for instance. He's making more Crypt Fiends, level 2 carrion beetles, and he's getting more statues to replenish those he lost. He's at tier 3, and he has built up another slaughterhouse. He will go for a second crypt here a little later too, in order to pump out the gargoyles, since the orc player is going for a basic grunt and wyvern strat, or wind rider. Why they changed the names in Frozen Throne, I have no idea. I heard a rumor that they did it so it would fit with the World of Warcraft universe, but instead of changing something that we're already used to, like ballistas and catapults, they decide to make something new and then change something we're used to into something that we haven't seen before. So spending a lot of brain resources on explaining that one out. Here we go back to the game. We see that the orc player has cleared out his natural mines. He can expand whatever he wants. However, this natural right here is a bad spot to expand, because every time the enemy crosses the bridge, he will basically scout out your expansion. We have Blademaster going psychotic in the middle here. He's bloodlusted. He has Orb, he has Gloves of Haste, and he's pretty much a big powerhouse at this point. He can throw off the Blade Storm, Critical Strike. He's now level 7, so that's 3 Windwalks and 3 Critical Strikes. Even though he doesn't have claws, he's still excessively powerful. And in return we have Destroyers, we have Abominations, and we have Fiends. Blade Storm goes off, ripping into the undead units, and CynicalDoc decides to leg it out. We now also have Tauren for the orc player, and what could have been a fast game for CynicalDoc, as I explained in the beginning, has turned into a tech war. However, CynicalDoc now has is making his second crypt, and he has 2 slaughterhouses making Abominations. He is pushing Gargoyles from his first crypt, and with dual production facilities, even if you do lose your army, it won't take long to replenish it, especially since we're not looking at Tauren versus pure Bugmeister with ghouls and shit. We're looking at Tauren versus dual slaughterhouses pushing out Abominations. So CynicalDoc here has 4 Abominations already, while the orc player has 2 Grunts, 2 Tauren, and Ogre Magi. Even though the Ogre Magi Bloodlust is a big advantage, we also here have Destroyers, which means that he can just suck up the Bloodlust in a matter of seconds anyway. So the Ogre Magi has lost most of his advantage here. Orc player comes down the east way, figuring he'll pull a fast one. He's going to come by the expansion here. CynicalDoc is waiting to get up some more units. His second crypt is now up, and he is pushing Gargoyles from both of them. Here we come in, we see the Blight, and then we know something's here, and of course here's the expansion. CynicalDoc is a little slow on picking up his towers here and focusing them, but he will start focusing on the Wind Riders here. There we go. And he pretty much does a good job on the Acolytes here, killing 3 of them and taking down one of the towers. But now CynicalDoc comes in, and since he has better forces and tower support, the Orc player decides to leg it out. We have a Tauren warrior here who was routed to the hero and didn't quite make it into the teleportation radius, and he's getting chased down by everything Cynic has. Anklier is now expanding on his red mine, which is a little better than the natural or the easy natural, because you have to deliberately go up and check here to see it instead of just run by it and catch it as you go up to attack the base anyway. Our player is using Solve. He's still running with the Blademaster. He is now level 7, about 3/4 of the way to level 8. And here comes CynicalDoc with serious Abominations and Destroyers and Destroyers. Devourers is from StarCraft. Destroyers, Gargoyles, and even though the Blademaster has the orb, which means he can attack air, CynicalDoc is superior here. Blade Storm goes off, doing immense damage. That's 700 damage to all units around, no matter armor. CynicalDoc is in a bit of a bind here, and here is where I have to give serious kudos to Anklier. CynicalDoc is going to take care of his taxes on the day that this is done. He figured maybe he'll put in a quick game and then go and do it. However, this game, as you can see, has dragged on for a little bit longer than he counted on. And so he wants to get to the tax office before it closes. Or anyway, he doesn't have a lot of time, so he asks Anklier if you lose the game, are you going to leave? And Anklier says yes. I have seen players, I've faced players and seen replays of players who basically just drag things out as long as possible, especially if they have such a golden opportunity as their opponent has to leave within a short amount of time. I could name a few names that would play this card without a second thought and laugh about it afterwards. But Anklier is decent. He knows he has lost. There's nothing he can do, even with his expansion. CynicalDoc has one already up and running. He has the forces, and there's nothing Anklier can do here. So Anklier leaves the game. He could have hidden burrows all over. He could have fucked around and pushed CynicalDoc basically until he had to go because he had to go, and thus won the game. And since it's a ladder game, I have to say that I respect Anklier for doing this. It's seldom you see such good people actually play decent or act decent. Hopefully it's an inspiration to the rest of you. I do know that he is certainly an inspiration to me, and I would lose to him any day of the week and think nothing of it. As you could see from the replays, I did my best to try and explain things. All I know of the Bugmeister is what I've read and what I've seen when I've faced it. But I did the best I could in explaining the intricacies of that particular strategy. It will give you a serious unit advantage in the beginning if you use bugs rather than necromancies and ghouls. An orc player, even if he goes for a power push, it will take some time to get the second barracks up, so you're looking at one crypt versus one barracks in the beginning. And with Anklier putting his burrows in such a way, CynicalDoc could have just done a burrow raid and basically just crippled the orc player. and then just continued with his own Bugmeister, and the orc player couldn't make units. He would have to spend money getting his burrows back, and it could have been a quick game. Until next time, I'll see you on the boards and in the channel, and cheerios.